What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost Wing here for a Monday Night Raw review for August the 13th, 2022. On the road to Clash at the Castle. This was another good episode of Monday Night Raw. We still got some kinks to work out, but overall, the shows just continue to get better and better. We had a historic United States Championship match in the sense that Bobby Lashley defended the title against AJ Styles. The first time ever these two have ever gone one-on-one against each other. They were both booked for the Elimination Chamber in February, if I think it was. February in Saudi Arabia. But Bobby Lashley was taken out of the picture before he even got into the match, so they never really had an interaction there. Maybe a tag here and there, but for a one-on-one match, this is the first time ever. And people were like, well, they both worked in Impact. When Bobby Lashley was carrying Impact on his back, AJ Styles with the New Japan Pro Wrestling, working his ass off to raise his stock enough to where Vince McMahon would go, well, we'll sign you. So, AJ left, Lashley came in, Lashley held down the fort in Impact Wrestling until he eventually left there and came back. Also, Bliss and Asuka will take on Piper Niven and Nikki Torreash tonight as well. There's been a lot of talent, including Piper, who apparently talked to Triple H about getting Piper Niven back instead of using this derogatory name that I refuse to call her. Because I have more respect for Piper. And people are wondering, oh, well, WWE doesn't want her to use her outside indie name or anything. Piper Niven is trademarked by WWE. Her indie name was Viper. She's Piper Niven. Come on. So, Nikki Cross needs to come back and become Nikki Cross. Enough of this fucking shit. And Pete Dunne looks to be teasing the return of the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne and not, let me at him, shame you, let me at him. The shit that he's doing on SmackDown right now. Fucked. But we start off with the Judgment Day. They head to the ring. Corey Graves, Byron Saxton, and Jimmy Smith greets the audience. Here they come. And they taunt the Mysterios, people wanting to see them. They ask you guys, what do you want to see the Mysterios? Rhea Ripley pretty much taunts the fact that Dominic Mysterio has been her bitch for the last few weeks. She says she's proven that she's his papi, aka, hey Dom, you my bitch. They say they're not going to be here because Dominic's soul has been taken out of him by Rhea Ripley, and they have, They crushed Rey Mysterio, and that he destroyed him to solidify his legendary status in this business. Priest asks what won't he do to Edge next week, and asks fans if they want to see Radio Superstar tonight, and says, too bad he isn't here. He's back up in Canada promoting his match next week, the first time he'll wrestle in Toronto in over a decade. He says no one needs to deal with him, and he'll put the final nail in his coffin. He says Balor and Ripley won't be at ringside. He says Toronto will no longer be his hometown, but a place where Priest retired him, and says retirement will not be movies, TV spots, and stuff. It's going to be Edge being wheeled around by Beth for the rest of his life while he's eating food through a tube. He's taunting them some more, and then all of a sudden, Rey Mysterio from behind. And Rey Mysterio does get the upper hand on Damian Priest and Finn Balor. But until Rhea Ripley, who is a female, comes in and she's like stalking him. Like, come on, I know you want to hit me. I know you want to hit me. Now, Balor tries to come in with the chair, and Rey drop kicks him. So he takes the chair and attacks both of them. Rhea Ripley again gets in the way of Balor, who is down, allowing her to eventually grab the chair while Mysterio turns to go and attack Priest. She grabs that, and they eventually take out Rey Mysterio. And they stand tall as Rey is checked on by officials. It's very good. The Judgment Day is really starting to feel like they are turning a corner on what they were, because let's just face it, they were DOA. They were dead men and women. They were dead people walking with Vince McMahon. It was only a matter of time before Vince McMahon would have just sent all three of them onto main event, where they would have been main event VIPs. Now, speaking of main event, Mustafa Ali has been, and there's been high praise for a match between him and Dominic Dijakovic on main event a week or two ago. And it's a match that if you could find it, you need to watch, because that match was awesome. Make main event fucking matter. Nobody actually watches main event unless you're in the crowd. And you're not too busy looking on your phone, waiting for Monday Night Raw to start. Make main event matter. And people will watch it. Give us matches like Dijakovic and Mustafa Ali. Like main event, let's just face it, main event for the last 10 years has been nothing but a joke. If you're on main event and you're just solely on main event, you're doing nothing. Your career is pretty much on the downward spiral. WWE is going to do nothing with you. Give us matches like that. Give us matches that actually could maybe lead to something, and eventually, like, you could have a talent that you're not sure about bringing up to the main roster. You can give them a test run on main event. Let them go out there and have good matches, and maybe they'll be on Raw or SmackDown in the coming months. Make it mean something. There's a possibility we'll get Dijakovic eventually to return as Dijakovic. Get this fucking stupid-ass teabag name off of him. Anyway, Alexa Bliss and Asuka versus Nikki Triage and Piper Niven's tag team title tournaments. And honestly, this is the best tag team title tournament match we've had thus far. Kai and Sky tried last week, but Dana Brooke and Tamina are just garbage. Piper Niven and Nikki are definitely up there as good in-ring talent and definitely can hold their own against pretty much anybody. But Asuka picks up the win with, they say the Asuka lock, but nah, like she had Piper Niven in an armbar, but instead of just having both of her legs across Piper's chest, she had her like scissored in between her legs, and had her like I don't know, but it's like she had she had her scissored between her legs, but was like elevated to where she was like bending her in half at the same time. That looked tough. On the outside, Nikki gets a punch from Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss and Asuka pick up the win. Pretty decent match, better than what we've seen out of the other women's matches. Zoe Starks and Nikita Lyons will be taking on Natalya and Sonya Deville on Friday. After the match, they go up the ring, and Bayley, Kai, and Sky are standing there. They stare down. They have an argument. Referees, officials, and one Kenny Dykstra makes an appearance as the WWE official. So I guess Kenny Dykstra is a producer now in WWE. Who knows? But that is going to be fire. Next week we get it's like Kai and Alexa Bliss can stay on the apron for the majority of that match next week. Give me Asuka versus Dakota Io Sky the entire match. Just let those two go out there. The other two can just drop down and cheerlead their team. I want to see Sky and Asuka the majority of the match. Cannot wait to see that next week. That's going to be fire. Also, Theory's backstage with Kevin Patrick. Theory talks about his Money in the Bank cash-in attempt. He says he still has the briefcase. He says he is in the high-end future of the business and doesn't make mistakes. He says he's even more dangerous now before Dolph Ziggler walks in. And says he's what Theory used to be when he earned the briefcase, but unlike him, he earned the briefcase in 2013 to win the World Heavyweight title. Theory calls him a no-title holding has-been and tells him to pay attention to him. Says once he cashes in his briefcase, he'll keep winning and won't screw up his career like Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler just backs him, and they start brawling. The two begin to brawl. We go to commercial break. We come back. We see what's been happening during the commercial break. We see them brawling on the in the back. When you see off to the side, there is a doorway. All of a sudden, a gloved hand comes peering out from the side, letting you know somebody is watching. Of course, that would be Dexter Lumis and what's going on with him. We get a video of the match between Bobby Lashley and Ciampa, which was really good. Backstage, Miz and Ciampa. Ciampa says he came so close last week with participation, but we don't have participation awards here. He's aren't handed out. He says he's come here to be a champion, and he will be a champion next time he gets a chance. Miz says that the only reason, and you got to pay attention to this. You got to pay attention to this because the body language and the facial reaction of Ciampa every single time Miz mentions this next line is just showing you that he is getting ever so more ticked off of the excuses coming from the Miz. where he says that the only reason Ciampa isn't champion right now is because AJ Styles interjected himself in that match. So, yeah, they're literally just giving you like little teasers. You have to pay attention. And he's just like, he's got the role. He's like, he's just got this like, are you like really that excuse again? Really? So yeah, it's coming. It's coming. He said he wants to reward Ciampa for last week and give him a necktie with the matching photo of them. He says this is awesome, and Chris says no. Miz says no, we're awesome. They head to the ring, and we get a tag team match, Miz and Ciampa versus Cedric Alexander. And I thought for a minute, oh, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric are back together, huh? But no, Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. This needs to be a tag team. Cedric and Mustafa Ali were known as the heart and soul of 205 Live before 205 Live was absolutely destroyed and gutted when they were moved from 205 Live over to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, I think, whatever. They were the guys, like, if you wanted to watch anything on 205 Live, these guys were the heart and soul, along with Buddy Matthews, Buddy Murphy. Those three guys were the heart, soul, and backbone of 205 Live. Of course, Buddy Matthews is over in AEW right now doing his thing with the House of Black. While these two, you want to bolster the tag team division, you make Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali a tag team, and you have them two work together. Yes, they lost this match. I didn't expect them to win this match. You got to have Ciampa and Miz win matches. You just can't have them continue to lose and just have excuses. You have to make it seem like they're good, but when something goes wrong and Miz says the only reason they lost is because of this, and Ciampa it's just eating at Ciampa that he's just holding in and buying his time to where he's just like, you know what, I've had enough of this guy's excuses, and destroys the Miz and sends him back to Hollywood to make another Marine or whatever other movie. So the match goes back and forth. Ciampa looks good. Ali looks good. Miz is there. Cedric Alexander looks good. Ali breaks up a kick and tags his Miz for the blind tag. He goes for the 450. The beautiful ending. Beautiful ending. He goes for the 450 on the Miz. Ciampa, mid-air with a knee to the face, hits the fairy tale ending for the exclamation point. 1, 2, 3. Miz and Ciampa pick up the win. I'm hoping that is going to be a tag team, Ali and Cedric Alexander, because you get them as a tag team, you add them with the Street Profits. It's like, if you're going to break up the Street Profits, you need to make tag teams. You need to get tag teams established. Having Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander, the heart and soul of what was once 205 Live as a tag team, is a good move. Triple H knows it. The talent probably know it. It's a way to get Cedric and Mustafa Ali back on television. This is a good thing. This was smart. I love it. And Ciampa and The Miz, it's going to happen. It wouldn't surprise me if these guys get a tag team title match. Not a clash. They get a tag team title match against the Usos, or whoever's champions at the time. And they lose. Ciampa loses the match. Or Miz, whichever one. Miz makes up excuses. And Ciampa's like, I've had it. And like, he's had it. And just wrecks. And he just wrecks him. I think it would be great. We get into a video of Kevin Owens beating up Ezekiel last week, Elias. And we get a provided update on Ezekiel. It says he has multiple entries. We see a picture of Elias dressed as Ezekiel, his father, Elias, Elrod, and another person standing right beside Elias, and as well as their mother, who's got tissues in front of her face crying because her little boys got injured. And I'm like, God damn it. And then Ernie Jr., the father of all these kids, says if he ever gets his hands on Owens, he will beat him down. And I'm like, we're still going with this? Hunter, you had an easy out. You beat up Ezekiel last week. He got taken to a hospital. They did say hospital. I love seeing the word hospital, not local medical facility. I fucking hated the local medical facility. He didn't have to do this fucking picture that I'm sure Elias had to go through so many different costume changes just to make possible. He didn't have to do that. It was so simple. You do that, you write him off, you never mention Elias again, Ezekiel again, you let him go off, have another vacation, come back with a beard. If you have to, if you want to slap on a fake beard for a while and have him play his tune, and we never speak of Ezekiel again. But no, they're going to keep going with this. Backstage, we see Drew McIntyre heading to the ring. We see a fire extinguisher being used on a garbage can, which is supposed to show that it was on fire, but we only saw the fire extinguisher stuff. So, and the bag, there was a trash bag in it, and the trash bag didn't look like it was melted or anything. So, clearly there was no real fire, whatever. The best parts of the fucking night. I have touted it on this show before, and I'll tout it again. Drew McIntyre. When this motherfucker gets fire in his eyes, fire in his voice, he gets angry. This guy cuts a damn good promo. He's one of the best promos in the business. When it's all seriousness, I will tout this promo again, and you all need to see it if you want to see how good this guy is. 2016, I think it was, 2017, I believe. Drew McIntyre was on the indie still, if I'm correct. 2017, I believe it was the timeline. And he was working for the upstart What Culture Pro Wrestling done by What Culture, the YouTube channel. He was wrestling a match with Joseph Connors and took the Don't Look Down. And Joseph Connors could not get him in position right, so when he did it, it was so fucking brutal. It looked so bad because you could just see when Drew went down, when he hit the Don't Look Down, Drew's spine just like it didn't snap, but it like you could just see that he got fucked up. So he was gone for a while. 2 weeks or a week before the next pay-per-view of What Culture Pro Wrestling, Drew McIntyre made a shock return, scaring off Joseph Connors and cutting, I believe, one of the all-time greatest indie promos I have ever heard in my life. How he accused Joseph Connors of just playing wrestler while this is his fucking life. If you want to see a damn good promo, you gotta watch that promo. It's Drew Galloway returns to What Culture Pro Wrestling, and it is one of the. I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about this promo. It is one of the all-time greatest promos ever. Drew McIntyre, when he gets the fire in his eyes, the fucking fire in his voice, he's one of the best to do it. Not unscripted, all on his own, no fucking just bullet points. Get from A to B to C. This guy is one of the fucking best. So we get a video recapping the launch party. I watched that launch party. The 3 matches were decent at best, and it was 4 hours, way too long. And I know Kevin Dunn's still working for WWE, and this was on a Thursday, so I guess Kevin Dunn must have been wherever SmackDown was. He was already in that town. But I guess his backup wasn't there because they had the backup because their audio was shitty all fucking night. That entire 4 hours. All night. The audio guy for that night probably lost his job the very next day. He grabs the mic and tells Washington to let him hear them scream. He says he knows it's a shock to see him on Raw. He addresses his match with Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle and says it's taking place on his island. He says he'll drop his ass, take his title and show up everywhere from Raw to SmackDown, the house shows, the live events. It doesn't matter because that's where the champion's supposed to be and that's where the championships deserve to be. And then he says he's heard some reports about his back being injured and he actually confirmed it to be true. I didn't expect that even with Vince McMahon not in charge anymore. I did not expect Drew McIntyre to come out and say, to even acknowledge these injuries because that's just something you don't do. But he said it's because he's been carrying this company, the load of 3 men for the last few years because that is just what he does. And he said he lists off a bunch of potential title matches, AJ Styles, Karrion Kross on SmackDown, and all these other ones, and then all of a sudden, out comes Kevin Owens. That stuff was fine. The Kevin Owens back-to-back with Drew McIntyre was the best part of the show. Damn good promo. His music comes out. I wish I had it queued up. I wish they had it on YouTube, but I know they don't. This is like, I cannot do this promo justice at all. This is one of those things, if you want to sit back and watch a promo a promo off between two guys who you could definitely tell 4 weeks ago this promo doesn't happen like this. 4 weeks ago they come out sounding robotic and just insincere and don't even sound like Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, who they should be. But this was absolutely great. It's funny you mention my name after I come out. I don't understand why you feel the need to do something that isn't, that you're not, and you think that it's medieval times. He says he's delusional for thinking he's carrying everyone's weight, and says that he's been real for this entire career. He says the people like him forget what it's about, and says it's dawn in the day. When he got to the arena that he faced Sami in the match of his lifetime at Battleground 6 years ago at the same location, he said he missed the old Kevin Owens and says it's time to bring back the prize fighter. He said there's enough and it's time for a change, and every single champion is on target. The U.S. Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the tag titles, there's a hint for you. You know what's going to probably be happening at Clash of the Castle with him and Sami Zayn, more than likely. And he doesn't give a damn who wins at the Clash of the Castle, because they're going to have a big problem. That's going to be him, because he's coming for the championship. McIntyre said this is sick of people making things up and get cheap reactions. Since he knows who the hell he is, he's had to work his ass off to get to the top of the company. And let me see here. He says he was beating up everyone who stood in his path. He said he was the chosen. Someone here sat here who said he was the chosen one. He was the chosen one 15 years ago. Then he got fired and had to work his ass to get back here, and works his ass off every single day of his life. And he says it's time for them to stop talking. They're wrestlers in a wrestling ring, so let's wrestle. Oh shit! He said wrestling 3 times. God. You know how great it is to hear wrestling, like we're wrestlers in a wrestling ring, so let's wrestle. It's kind of funny. It's kind of messed up that we have to sit here and just like, oh my God! It's the fact that they get to say the word wrestling. The second W in World Wrestling Entertainment in WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment. There they do have it queued up. Sweet. I'm gonna play this because this I can't do this justice. You got to hear this. I think they do. I hope they have this all. Because I realized that this is the very same arena where at Battleground, Sami Zayn and I had the fight of our lives and left everything. Can you really believe it's been 6 years since that match, that epic match against Sami Zayn? The best match. I wouldn't say that they've had in their career. I've not seen any of those stuff with El Generico and Kevin Steen, but as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, that match was the best match those two ever put on. That's been missing for far too long, and I miss that side. I miss the old Kevin Owens. I think it's time to bring back the Kevin Owens that people call the prize fighter. Kind of weird that he said that people called, because I'm pretty sure that was what he called himself. That was like what people called. I'm like, what? I'm pretty sure that was you called yourself that from the moment you got to NXT. That is a damn shame. This guy has not held one single championship in 5 years. I got goosebumps just listening to that again. I don't know what it is, but like my God. Just hearing that again and the passion in Drew McIntyre's voice, I got goosebumps listening to that again. My God, that is just fantastic. We go to commercial break. Owens did say, "You ain't no prize, but let's get it on." Threw the mic down. They circle the ring. The referee's not there yet. We go to commercial break. We come back, and these two have a match. These two beat the living shit out of each other. This was match of the fucking night, even with the ending. Oh my God, like, these guys beat the shit out of each other. They pulled everything out of their arsenal. What the kitchen sink, cannonballs, the frog splashes, glass cow kiss, fucking air raid crash from the second rope from Drew McIntyre, who does have a lower back injury, doing a fucking air raid crash, aka white noise, from the second turnbuckle. The dude's a madman. Future shock DDT, which did not look pretty. Did not look pretty at all. Goes for, I don't know, I knew something was up. Because he hit the Future Shock DDT on him, and instead of going to the opposite side of the ring to set up for the Claymore, he went a little bit closer to Kevin Owens, and I'm like, why is he going there? And then you could just say the way he's like looking around, he's like, he's like doing that little thing, like seeing if there's anyone coming. Jimmy and Jay assault him. And of course, that means Drew McIntyre won by disqualification. They beat him up for a bit. He eventually gets the upper hand. Stunner from Kevin Owens. He looks around for a minute. He goes over there and says, "Tell your tribal chief he owes me one." He powders away. They slide in the ring, but McIntyre takes him down with the glass cow kiss and the Claymore. Tells the Usos to let Reigns know he'll be seeing him on Friday, and that was that. All good shit. From the minute Kevin Owens came out to the end of this match, everything was fucking great. This is professional wrestling. This is what we've been missing on Monday Night Raw. Just, the goosebumps from hearing the passion coming out of these guys' voice. They sound like Roman. They sound like Kevin Steen and Drew Galloway. They do not sound like Vince McMahon's version of Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. They sound like real fucking people. This is how people should be talking. This is how people should be sounding. They don't sound like robots, and it's great. It's such freshness to hear talent sound like human beings. It's really not that hard. The fact that we had to get Vince McMahon out of here for these guys, I'm telling you right now, this promo is not cut if Vince McMahon is still in charge. Half the verbiage in this promo would not have been said if Vince McMahon was still here. You can tell that Drew McIntyre takes anybody who tries to mock how hard he worked after getting fired to going to the Indies, working that time in the Indies, going to Impact Wrestling champion, going to What Culture Pro Wrestling champion for the time that he won the title up until, which was I think December of the year, like the year before he came back to NXT. Pretty sure he won the WCPW championship and held it all the way up until after he showed up in NXT at the TakeOver that WrestleMania weekend the year after. Won the Progress Championship, I believe, show as well. Reinvented himself, put on the muscle, looked like a fucking badass. Went to NXT. He didn't have to go to NXT. He chose to go to NXT. And was booked there. And I knew he wasn't going to be in NXT very long. Made the most of his time there. NXT champion for a bit. Ended up getting injured in the match that he lost the title to, if I'm correct, Andrade. Yes, he lost it to Andrade. And tore his muscle. Tore his, I think it was his pec. I believe it was. On that DDT. And then came up, became Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler's boy, and just worked his ass off to get where he is today. And anybody who comes in and tries to get that cheap heat by saying he's a fraud or something, that's going to always bring the fire out of Drew McIntyre, because him out of everybody who's gotten that second chance, worked his ass off to get where he's at, and I fucking love it. Drew McIntyre is I love to support Drew McIntyre, because this dude, I saw a lot, not all, but I saw a lot of his reinvention on the indie scene because I watched WCPW from the day it started till pretty much the day it closed. And the time that he was there, he was on another fucking level. That's the thing. When he went to What Culture Pro Wrestling and he pretty much put that company on his back from the moment he showed up to the moment he went back to WWE and went back as Drew McIntyre, that dude put that company on his back, was their champion for the majority of it. And just the growth from the time he left WWE and was fired to the time he left the Indies and went back to WWE was just like, wow. The trials, the tribulations he had to go through to get what he is. Beautiful. All I know is if Drew McIntyre wins at Clash of the Castles, which he needs to, I want this match to be run back with, of course, a different outcome. Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring. We're supposed to get an exclusive interview from Matt Riddle, and you could be telegraphed. They telegraphed this so hard. So fucking hard that he was in the building. He comes out, Seth Rollins does, and he gives the fans the big news. He says he wanted to be front row seat to see Riddle retire. He says he can do anything he wants to list examples. Riddle, and one of those, of course, is starting his own weed farm, which I'm pretty sure Matt Riddle probably already has a weed farm somewhere or is part of a weed farming group somewhere. Riddle pops up in the Titantron and says, and Matt Riddle sounded like a human being. He didn't sound like somebody who just smoked a doobie, like a Snoop Dogg-sized doobie, and went out there and tried to talk. The dude sounded like he was serious. He was pissed off. He wants to get his hands on Seth Rollins. This is the Matt Riddle I want to hear about. I don't want to see, oh, yo, bro, and just talk gibberish just to get the kicks off of old man Vince McMahon. And Matt Riddle says, you know what? I got an update. It's really hard to say this, but I'm medically cleared. And the next time I get my hands on you, it's going to be on. Rollins pretty much says, you know, I wish you were here so I could just slap the taste out of your mouth right now. And he's like, that's funny you say that because I'm not in my mom's basement. I'm actually here. Every single one of these via satellite fucking things they do, 9 times out of 10, they're actually in the building. They're just somewhere in the building to make it look like, and they have it set up to look like they're not there. He comes out. They fight for a minute. Riddle dodges a curb stomp on the outside. They brawl for a little bit more. He chases him up. He chases Seth Rollins up the stairs, which, okay then. And he gets away. So that was that. Later on, he talks to Kevin Patrick. Matt Riddle does and challenges Rollins to a match at Clash of the Castle, which we're going to be getting. Styles we had a hype up video again for the match between AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley ahead of the title match. We see Styles getting ready backstage. Veer Mahaan is a jobber, lasted about a minute and a half, maybe 2, because this guy got away a couple times. I do not give one shit about Veer Mahaan, and neither did the crowd. Io Sky says, back from break, we head backstage. Bayley, Kai, and Sky. Kai says she's here to win a singles match later tonight. She says that they can expect a lot more winning when they beat the women's tag team championship tournament. Something catches Kai's eye, and the 3 of them walk over to the opponent, Dana Brooke. She says she's ready in 24/7 and isn't afraid. Kai says maybe she should be and walks off. I was so hoping it was going to be Dana Brooke versus Dakota Kai for the 24/7 championship. Kai wins it. They beat down Dana Brooke. Bayley and Sky bring in a barrel, light some stuff, throw it in there, and throw the 24/7 championship in there while all the 24/7 geeks are looking outside like, no, and the title gets burnt up, and the 24/7 championship is ruined. AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley, and I'm sitting here going, why is this not the main event? I don't give a shit where Austin Theory is. I don't give a shit about anything else. You put Walter and Shinsuke Nakamura in an epic main event on SmackDown. That title is good enough to be in the main event, but this title is not. Why? Why is this match not in the main event? Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, U.S. Championship. You want to put so much prestige in these mid-card titles because Roman Reigns is not there. Why is this match not your main event? Had to miss the beginning of this match because, nature calls, and when it calls, there's nothing you can do about it, especially when the show is on your TV and your bathroom is downstairs. When I came back, this was a really good match. What I got to see, this was a really good match. I would love, not next week or the week after, but a month or two from now, run this match back again. I'm not saying we want rematches every week, but give this some time, let it breathe, and maybe the December pay-per-view, Bobby Lashley versus AJ Styles for the U.S. Championship, give it to me. Clearly, if we're still doing some Raw versus SmackDown matches for the U.S. Intercontinental and the two Women's Championships, Bobby Lashley versus Walter is the way to go. Two big, beefy men slapping meat. Gotta see that match. Who wins? Neither one. They fight so hard to where they just batter each other so much that they both pass out. Referee gets to the 10 count, and we get a double knockout between Walter and Bobby Lashley. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to beat either, and you shouldn't beat either. And obviously, Lashley would probably be the one to take the fall to Walter, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But Walter versus Lashley at Survivor Series is the match that we need to see. But still, we had a really good match here. Unfortunately, Miz and Ciampa decided to come out because they're having a feud with AJ Styles, and of course Miz is blaming AJ Styles for their failures. So Ciampa distracts the referee and Bobby Lashley. They're near the rampway. They're distracting him over there. Miz goes over. This looked very corny. I don't know if it's timing or something, but he's slowly going over to try and attack AJ Styles. If what was about to happen wasn't going to happen, he would have just ran over there and started fucking beating the shit out of him, but he's like over there and he's looking around. You know something's going to happen because of how he's approaching AJ Styles, when all of a sudden, a wild Dexter Lumis appears. Pops the barricade, looks at the Miz like, I got you. WWE deployed security. It was super effective. We go to commercial. We come back. Referee has ejected Ciampa and Miz or whatever happened there, and it came down back to Styles and Bobby Lashley. So the match is going on. Styles is able to get the calf crusher on. Lashley's able to eventually get out of that. He actually got him from the calf crusher into the hurt lock. But because he's on his back, Styles is able to flip back into a pinning combination. 1-2 kick out. Styles goes to the phenomenal forearm. Lashley hits the spear. 1-2-3, picks up the win. Beats him in a different way because we've seen Lashley win majority of his matches with the hurt lock. Getting a win over Styles with the spear, I think, is a better move. We don't want to have him tapping out. So Ziggler and Theory is your main event. Good fucking grief. Dana Brooke versus Dakota Kai. This match, it lasted about 2.5 minutes, if that. Dakota Kai wins with her Crescent Moon Haluva Kick, which I call it the Crescent Moon Haluva Kick because she usually starts in the corner that is straight on from the person in the ring, and then she goes in the shape of a crescent moon into a haluva kick. I call it that. I don't know what it's actually called, but I call it the crescent moon kick because it looks like she's drawing a crescent moon and doing like a crescent moon into a haluva kick, and that picks up the win. When was the last time Dakota Kai won with the haluva kick like that? I don't know. Video hyping the match between Edge and Damian Priest next week. The rest of the card we have Kai and Sky versus Asuka and Bliss. That's going to be fire. 3 great workers and Alexa Bliss, who's a decent hand, but let's face it. It's like, you look at this 4 women, and it's like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Could you imagine if Kai and Sky was their own thing and Bayley was a babyface working with Asuka, and you had those 4 women? Oh my god, that would be such a fucking fire match, but this is what we got. Or Asuka and Bianca Belair versus Kai and Sky, that would be even like fire. I don't know who actually wins that match. I do not know who wins the match between Kai and Sky and Alexa. Obviously, it should be Kai and Sky, but I can see WWE doing something else. I don't know. Dolph Ziggler versus Theory. This match was okay. Dolph Ziggler's a good hand. Austin Theory is okay too. Ziggler goes for the super kick, misses it. Goes for a famouser, gets put into the 8-down down, 1, 2, 3, and Austin Theory picks up the win. taking some selfies while the show goes off the air with no other returns happening. I mean, I don't think we're going to get another return on Monday Night Raw until they figure out what the fuck's going on with Dexter Lumis. Obviously, he's targeting AJ Styles because we saw him last week, staring up at AJ. This week, it looked like he was going to attack AJ, or he was jumping the barricade to get near AJ, but security got to him. I don't know what's going on with the Dexter Lumis thing. He's not on any roster on the internal sheet yet, which is fine because that's the thing. You don't know what the fuck he's doing. Now, what's funny is that he jumped over the barricade, and Corey Graves did not want to mention his name at all. We come back from commercial break for that match, and Jimmy Smits mentions Dexter Lumis' name, but Corey Graves quickly says, "We ain't got time to give that the light of day. Let's move on." So clearly, it's being played off that Dexter Lumis does not work for WWE. He's a rogue. Don't know why he's here. He's here under his own, for his own reasons. We do not know. He's not signed to any brand yet. If he was signed to a brand, he wouldn't be attacked by security. He'd be able to walk freely. So that is the most interesting thing on Monday Night Raw is Dexter Lumis. It absolutely is. What are they doing with him? So next week looks like it's going to be another decent and pretty good show next week for sure. Raw was pretty good this week. Via could do without. The whole Ezekiel thing should have been done and over last week. I do not need to see the guy behind Elias dressing up like an old man and trying to pretend to be their father. The last thing I need is Kevin Owens versus that. Kevin Owens is off to be the prize fighter. This whole stupid shit with Ezekiel should have ended last week. But as your Monday Night Raw review, hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, find me on Minds of the France Club, find me on twitch.tv/TheFrance Club, and find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the opening of the Trios Tag Team Tournament. Until then, Minds of the France, and I'll see you guys later.